So what is up, guys? Nick here, helping you to master your technology. And in this episode, we're going to talk about how the iPhone 14 Pro Max, 10 ways actually, that it's better than your Samsung Galaxy S23 Ultra. Some people are saying, Nick bro, no way. What are you doing? No, I'm telling you, there is 10 ways that I figured out in the past couple days after making my S23 Ultra, how it's better than this phone. And in this one, we're going to talk about the ways this is better than the Samsung. And we'll begin with number one. The first one is the shape and ergonomics. Now, you could just say, Nick, I could just buy the S23 Plus, done deal. Not really, because with the shapes and ergonomics of this one, you still get the premium high-end version, whereas Samsung is cutting back on the best displays, the best overall cameras on the Plus. So there's some sacrifices. With Apple, you get the nice flat display, the comfortable shape, and you get all the premium spec. So if you wanted a phone that's not shaped like this, you want a more comfortable ergonomic feel in the corner of your palm, you want a flat display, and you want the highest end specs, the iPhone wins this one out. Simple as that. It just wins it. So that's kind of why I kind of miss the Galaxy S21 Ultra, but some people really love the Note design. I think they should keep this design, but I think they should have a high-end option with the more flat screen as well. The next one is, despite it being a smaller battery slightly, it has a longer battery life. Now, I gave Samsung the win in my other video for, improved standby time over the previous versions and a bigger size capacity, because I think this battery will hold up longer over time just because it has a larger cell than the iPhone. But this one, in practice, still has better battery life. And that could come down to Apple still controlling it top to bottom. Apple A series chipset, this is their phone, their software, everything optimized. And the battery life on here definitely feels like it can last a little bit longer. Although it's still down from last year, it's iPhone 13 Pro Max. It's not quite as good as that one. Still find it to be a little bit better than the Samsung S23 Ultra in actual real world usage. The next one is, while I gave Samsung the easy win in display, the iPhone gets brighter outdoors. You can't take advantage of that full brightness. It's still ridiculously bright. As you can see right there, it's probably not even very visible. But outdoors, it can hit a maximum higher brightness than the Samsung, which hits around the 1,750 nits on the Samsung. Here, you're going to get yourself a full 2,000 nits. So the iPhone still gives you a little bit better battery life, and it gives you a brighter display when triggered by outdoor sunlight. So it is brighter. And number 4 is that the iPhone 14 Pro Max is simply still more polished. Now, the Samsung is the default choice for the, if you don't want to get an iPhone. And I think it's one of the more polished phones on Android devices. It has a lot of features. And while Pixel, I think, is a little smoother still, the iPhone here is simply very polished. It's a very simple, clean, cohesive interface and definitely easy to use. Feels slick. It's just more polished still. I think it's like, I don't know if Samsung could ever beat them here unless they totally slim down things, which they're probably not going to do because that's not the point of a Samsung phone. So definitely more polished here still. That's number 4. The next one is, we all know this one by now, but the iPhone 14 Pro Max likely is going to give you longer major update support. So if you want to get the latest software updates for, Apple, go to software updates here. And you want to get 16.4, you want to get 17, 18, you want to go long term and get these fast updates that are major updates, you're probably going to get another year out of this phone. Samsung is promising 5 years security, but about 4 years of major. So if you're keeping it longer than 4 years, the iPhone's still the better choice here. This one is huge at number 6. This is the higher resale value phone. Easily. Now, Samsung S23 Ultra will hold its value better than some of the cheaper Samsungs for sure. You're still going to be able to get a good amount of money back because it's just a high-end device here with the S23 Ultra versus a smaller, Samsung phone. But It's not going to come anywhere close to holding the value like an iPhone 14 Pro Max, and that's simply economics. I mean, people demand iPhones, they're more popular, they're going to net more money. It's an Apple tax. It's kind of like in the car game, there's a Toyota tax because you're buying a Toyota because of the Toyota name. I'm just saying stuff like that. People are willing to pay it to get the latest and greatest, iPhone, or even get an older one because they know that it's desirable. So the value proposition is there. Even if they have similar hardware, it doesn't matter. You're going to be able to sell your iPhone for more money than you would the Samsung phone. That's just simple, economics, supply and demand. There's just more demand for used iPhones than used Samsung phones. Higher resale value, point blank. The next one is the technically faster CPU. Now, while Samsung in my speed test kept up easily for day-to-day tasks and even won it out in wildlife, the iPhone still has technically the faster CPU. When you are going to be doing video editing or really pushing it to the limits, the Samsung is not quite as fast. And this is going to be a big deal for the iPhone 15 coming later this year. It's going to be one of the main selling points is Apple's A17 Bionic chipset. Or if they surprise us and throw in an M series, but I think they're going to have an A17. It's going to be built on a 3nm architecture. Right now, this is still super fast. And honestly, you don't really take too much advantage of that power unless you're playing games on the iPhone, but having that is peace of mind for long term. And this technically has a more powerful CPU. The next one I have to say, and this is going to come in at number 8, is it's technically a better video recording machine. I just find it to have easier to use video for the average consumer. So even if you're not the average consumer, you're a high-end consumer, it's just still very easy to get going with your video. It's hard to beat Apple's video. It just looks amazing all the time. And this is the camera I still want to pick for all-day video all the time. Although I've been preferring this feature that I'm using this S23 to film this video on. This is the base S23, by the way. You can see it's a smaller model. And that is the Pro video modes. But you can actually just download some Pro camera applications on here and be on your way, same way as you can do with a Samsung. You just have to download some manual camera applications and you'll be good to go. So it's not like it's the end all be all that you don't have a Pro video mode built right into the iPhone. It still has potentially better video, even though they don't have 8K on here yet. You got cinematic, and it's just really easy to use and very good at focusing. That's the main thing. It just stays in focus all the time when you are using video, and that makes it kind of feel more like a camera that is like a camcorder, which makes that thing super easy, super consumer friendly. And also, if you really want to tweak it around, you can go more professional with it as well. So I think Apple's going to really upgrade the cameras this year again, go even bigger on the 15. Now, the next one is potentially life-saving feature of emergency SOS via satellite. You don't really get that on the Samsung phone. So if you want to, have that feature, this is going to be huge for some people. Crash detection as well. So this is a big deal, especially if you care about stuff like that. And the last one is a little bit of a stretch, but I would argue that Face ID is potentially a reason to pick the iPhone over the Samsung. And the reason why is that Face ID is a very secure authentication method without having to use the finger. Now, some people like the finger, but the face can be very convenient when you just need to look at it, unlock, certain secure applications like your bank or whatever, and you don't want to, be pressing the finger and stuff like that. I just think it's an option to consider. It doesn't mean it's technically that much better, but I think it's a little more secure because we've had fingerprints for a long time, but this Face ID, I just find it more convenient to use sometimes than the fingerprint. It's also pretty reliable because you don't have to press on anything and potentially mispress it. So that's a potential reason as well. So those were 10 ways how the iPhone 14 Pro Max is better than the Galaxy Ultra. Now, do you have 10 ways, or do you have any more ways that I missed out in this video that you think the iPhone is better, and not just iPhone is iPhone? That just makes no sense. Like, we're not here to talk about those brainless thoughts. iPhone is iPhone. Let's get some reasons why it's better than the Samsung phone, so we could discuss that below. If you guys are planning on picking up an iPhone 14 Pro Max or a Galaxy S23 Ultra, consider watching my full in-depth comparison between these two, where we broke it down in detail. It should help you out quite a bit. You can also watch the speed test if you want to see everyday real world performance, just kind of like everyday tasking with these two phones. I'll link those down below, and subscribe for more. I got many more contents coming your way. I'll catch you all in the very next episode. Thank you very much for watching. Nick here. Be sure to be well, and peace.